A few years ago, my parents moved to a 55-plus community in Gettysburg, and as part of the orientation, my mom met with some of the other ladies who had just recently joined the community with her. And inevitably, the conversation starts going toward what? Their husbands. And so they start going around the room, and they start talking about how long each of them has been married. And one woman goes, I was married for 30 years, and my husband very sadly, tragically passed away. Another woman goes, I was married for about 20 years. My husband and I divorced for various reasons, and then now I'm maybe looking to get remarried one day, who knows. And then they go to my mom, and my mom goes, well, I've been married to my husband for 37 years. And they looking at each other, and one of the ladies, my mom's telling me this story, and one of the ladies looks at her and just goes, to the same guy? Right? But that's the mindset, right? It's like shock. Because today when you hear someone's been married for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's like, how is that even possible? Years ago, in our grandparents' age, in our grandparents' generation, that was commonplace for people to get married and stay married for the rest of their lives. Now it's like a shock, because I think in our society and our culture today, marriage is seen almost like a job. Like, as long as the job is giving me enjoyment and excitement, or I'm looking forward to going into that job every single day, I'll do it. But then when the job starts getting boring or tiresome, or I'm putting the effort in and I'm not receiving the same respect from the people around me, then I'm looking to leave my job and go somewhere else. In our gospel today, Jesus speaks about not only marriage, but he also speaks about divorce. The Pharisees of his time are constantly trying to trap him, constantly trying to make it a point that they're trying to make him backtrack on his words. So they flat out ask him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? Now they know that in the Old Testament, God outlawed divorce several times. But this is still an important question for them, or they're trying to make Jesus say, Moses was wrong, or the Old Testament was wrong, or this is what the truth really is, and somehow, some way that they can entrap him. But Jesus responds in a way that is truthful, that is honest, but he's also compassionate. Because when we talk about divorce is painful. Divorce is hard. And it causes a lot of anger and sadness and confusion and bitterness. And it's not just the two people going through the divorce that are being affected. A lot of other people are affected as well. Their family, their friends, and anyone else. But then what makes a marriage a marriage? A marriage is a gift. Marriage is a gift. Marriage is a gift in that you have two people that were raised in two completely different households, two completely different surroundings, two completely different environments. And one day they meet, and suddenly they start to talk, and then they start to like each other, and they think, yeah, this guy's pretty cool, or this lady's pretty lovely. And then they go, well, maybe I should get to know this person more. Yeah, I really want to know more about them. Then you start to go out together. Then you start to learn more about one another. You learn about what makes you tick. And then all of a sudden one day comes and you think to yourself, what if I were to spend the rest of my life with this person? Or what would it mean if I married them? What would that look like? Well, marriage is a commitment. Marriage is something that from the very moment you say I do, you are joined, as we hear in our first reading, as one flesh. Your joys are her joys. Your sorrows are his sorrows. Your happiness is her happiness. Your sadness is his sadness. You two are to complete one another. You are to help one another, guide one another, love one another in this life. I hear when I'm meeting with couples either be new couples or marriage prep or couples who have been married for a long time, I hear so many stories. And there was this one lady who came to me and said, Father, I've been married to my husband for 20 years and I'm having some struggles. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, my husband's a good man. He's a very good man. But there seems to be a problem. And I said, what's the problem? And she goes, well, he's not the same man that I married. He's not the same man today that he was 20 years ago. And I went, good. That's a good thing. You shouldn't be the same person that you were when you first got married. Because if you were, what have you done in your marriage? Marriage is supposed to help you grow. Your husband and your wife are supposed to look and say, bring you out of your comfort zone, help you experience new emotions, new experiences. And the thing about it is, some of those experiences or those situations can be scary and they can be nervous. They make you nervous. But you take comfort in the fact that you have your husband, that you have your wife by your side, that you don't know how it's going to play out, but you have one another. But then there are struggles that come up in marriage. There are arguments, there are fights, there are disagreements. But think back to that first time that you looked into your husband or your wife's eyes. And that day, on your wedding day, when you said, I do, and you pledged on that day, through better or for worse, that you're going to be there for one another. Think back to that day now. Remember what it was like. Remember how you felt. Remember what you were looking forward to. But then, as well, when you have those arguments and you have those fights, those are going to happen. And any relationship, any friendship, every relationship, every friendship goes through its bumps and bruises. But if both people are committed to the relationship, it will get better over time. That's because arguments are real, anger is real, struggles are real, marriage is real. You keep your head down and you keep moving forward. At the same time, we know that divorce is also real. We know that there have been a lot of people who have been hurt by divorce. But to say these people don't have a place in our lives or in the life of the church or in God's plan for them would be disrespectful. And that would be disingenuous. They need love all the more. They need care all the more. If you know someone going through your life right now, and chances are you do, who is going through a divorce, if you've been there for them, God bless. That's wonderful. But if you've recently have found out, or maybe you haven't talked to that person in a while, reach out to them and see how they're doing. Because no one really wants to talk about when they're going through a painful experience, because they're afraid people are going to judge them or look down on them or think differently of them, or they think your friendship or your relationship is going to be defined going forward by what happens in this experience, in this situation. But then you can say, I love you. I care about you. I just want to make sure you're okay. So if you don't want to talk right now, that's fine. I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want to do. But I just want you to know that I'm here. I'm here for whatever you need. And I just want you to know that. And you, in that moment, that's better than you giving them any kind of advice or anything else. You just saying, I'm here, means so much to know that there is someone out there, someone that they know who loves and cares about them enough that they would even be present for them in that moment. So do that today. Do that next week, if next month, whenever the time comes, and make it a point to be there for someone who is going through the pains of divorce. And if nothing else, just be a listening ear. God gave us these for a reason. Be the kind and compassionate person, and you probably will never fully know or understand what that will mean to that person in that moment and in that time. And lastly, I want to share with all of you a quote that really summarizes the beauty of what marriage is. And it's this: the married life is in actuality an invitation to death. Death to pride and the ego and the selfishness. It is an invitation to sainthood. The two do not become one without mutual selflessness, ongoing compromise, and a deep-seated desire for the other's sanctity. Marriage, if you allow it, unleashes the hidden greatness of your souls by calling you to heroic levels of sacrifice for your beloved. We cannot forget that marriage was God's idea. God is the gift giver and your spouse the gift. This day, let us pray for all married couples, whether you've been married for a year or 50 years. May each and every day you fall greater in love with one another, and through the love that you have for each other, fall even more in love with God, who created and gave you the love that you have for each other. Praise be Jesus Christ.
Amen.